Hey, what's up, Adam?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm getting just chilling and hanging out at the moment. I don't think we'll probably have, to be honest, you'll probably be the only person that'll join today. I really didn't expect anyone to join on the weekend. No, I really wasn't even thinking about it because I'm so used to doing things on the weekend and I don't have kids and stuff like that. So something to keep in mind next time. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm still gonna do these on the weekend because I still want it to be a 30-day thing. And then
30-day challenge. Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm just gonna have like my own little cut of doing something or building something. Not to say you have to get off right now. Like if you have any questions or of course want to do anything, I'm okay with that. Just
I'm,
looking into the
yeah.
future. Mhm.
Yeah. No, I was more, I mean, I'm on the other side of the kids thing. Mine are grown up, so I'm more free time than I'm used to. No, the using the NCA toolkit or FFmpeg has been interesting to me. Um, I initiated I'm using, there's a company called Every AI, and they created a compound engineering uh, kind of orchestration for Claude Code that they use to ship their products. And anyway, that's the long story. The short story is they have code review tools. And so I ran the NCA through the code review. And I started the initial review and kind of respec it so that I could build it a little bit better. Because I did notice that there were some protocol issues, there's TypeScripting issues, things like that. So I was going to clean it up. And so when I saw you have this session today about building it and using it with Claude Code so that, or, having Claude Code do that interaction. Um, I was interested to put the two efforts together and
Oh
see if
yeah.
there's something that I want to do out of that, clean
Yeah,
up
we
the
could talk.
code,
Yeah, you
stuff
could,
like
we
that.
could, we could, if you want, you could ask me like specific questions on why the toolkit is the way it is. Because I heard you say
Okay.
TypeScript, and it is, it's a Python based Flask
Yeah.
app, so it's no TypeScript or anything like that. But
Right.
going into like why it wouldn't be TypeScript and why it is all those other things, I could probably that might be helpful with like what you want to do and how to change
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Stuff.
That's
I'm
interesting.
familiar. Yeah, I'm familiar with some of the other things that like the default one has problems with. For example, if you download something, it automatically downloads. You can't view it and like other things like that. I wouldn't call them problems. It's just things to be like aware of if you want to use it.
Yeah.
But I want
Yeah.
to say hi to Scott. How are you doing? Good morning.
Hey, Dylan, I'm doing good. Finally have a time frame where I can actually watch your classes. I'm signed up for them, but this is the first one where I'm actually available to attend.
Oh no, you're all good. I
Yeah,
have to give you the YouTube link. It's all good. I was just telling Adam here. I kind of because I don't have kids and I'm so used to like working and building all the time, I kind of forget like it's a Saturday, that's like a free day for people or the day with the kids and stuff. So I'm thinking like I'm still gonna do the 30 days. I'm thinking I'm just like maybe gonna lower it to maybe like an hour. And then worst case scenario, if nobody joins, I'm still gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna have like my own session as if nobody joined and do something that day with the tool. But I'm happy you came. Thanks for showing up and stuff.
yeah. Because I signed up for all of them because I thought that way. At the time when you like posted it, in which in the group it was that we'll still get the replays. So that was the main thing. But
You're all good.
I wanted
I'll
to show
make
you
sure I
that
share.
I'm just not a note taker. So
I appreciate you. No, you're all good. Are you familiar with FFmpeg or NCA Toolkit? Have you ever heard
So
of that
I
before?
used to belong to Steven's group in the very beginning, but
Hmm.
I got so lost and so
Hmm.
far behind with because when he did the first one through Make,
Right, right,
I
right.
was able to do that one. And
Uh-huh.
then once he went to um with using Google uh Workspace
Cloud.
and Cloud,
Mhm.
I just struggled
Right.
with that and
Gotcha.
just
Oh, I might have a fix for you today to set that
and
up. I have
so I
a
actually
tool.
dropped out of his group when I didn't renew. Um,
Hmm.
I'm still in one of his other groups, but it was just, but I struggled so much with it because I didn't have a lot of time to work on it. Then it moves so quick
Right, 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 right.
that
Everything is
it's like,
fine.
well, if I've learned that, but that's not really the main thing anymore. And Yeah.
Right, right.
So
You feel behind and trying to be caught up.
yeah,
I
because I was
understand.
really proud when I first did the first few videos with Leonardo,
Right,
but
right, right, right.
yeah.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. Well, any questions that you have, just in general, feel free to ask. I will. I'm gonna talk about both sides, like setting it up, kind of go into some details of why I was set up that way. Uh, I guess maybe what I'm thinking about now is really like talking about how you can improve, quote unquote, the toolkit in your own way if you want to use it for whatever it may be or things
Mhm.
like that. And yeah, go from there. And Jamu, I'm hoping I say your name. I'm saying your name and not slander it this time. Thank you for joining again. You were here with us yesterday. I saw you had your mic off. You gonna bless me with your voice today, or you gonna be quiet today? It's all fine if you do. I'm just teasing you. You're fine. You don't have to come off mic. But let me get some stuff ready really quick because I was working on some other things, studying, and then pull this. So I guess the first thing, some of you guys have history with the origin of the toolkit, but for other people who will watch this later, they probably will have no origin. So I guess let's kind of get into that. Share my screen here. So if you don't know, there's a tool called FFmpeg. And the best way to really kind of describe FFmpeg is I just send people like FFmpeg in 100 seconds because Fireship has like a really good video, just really quickly explaining FFmpeg. But basically, it's a library. It's like a media library, transformer, encoder, decoder, all of the type of coders that there are made by this one guy that basically just transform media files and it does like a lot of cool things. And one of my friends, a guy, I'm an admin in his community. He's a cool guy. My guy Steven, Steven Pope here got really popular because how could I say this? I guess maybe was that at the beginning of like AI, maybe a little bit later, maybe like a year later when it came into making like faceless content or just making content in general and trying to do like different things, it would cost a lot of money, right? So like you got to transcribe a video, you got to cut videos up, you have to do like all of these different things. So he basically took FFmpeg and turned it into an API to be used instead of only being able to use it on your computer. Now, granted, like almost any tool today that does any type of media conversion and all these other things are using FFmpeg under the hood. Twitch uses FFmpeg. You'll be surprised. I don't even want to go into that. There's a lot of things that use FFmpeg under the hood because it's like the standard when it comes to that. And as someone who, I'm not gonna say I don't make a lot of content, but like being able to transform media and stuff that way, because even on another level, I have a lot of friends who are photographers, videographers, streamers. They stream content, they game and stuff like that. Um, it's so funny because Twitch uses a lot of that stuff under the hood, so it kind of like really opened my eyes, and I just thought it was like really interesting to dive in, which is one of the reasons why um, I was like so interested in. I'll talk about some other things that I wanted to do around the NCA toolkit and why I made like this one-click installer tool and like all these other things, right? But the kind of the thing about the NCA toolkit, so one, and I gotta hopefully all my memories coming back to me, and maybe if Steven watches this video later, he will update me. But me and him talk a lot, and I remember one of the main reasons that it's mainly built in Python. I think it has to do with just like what's the best way I can explain this? Because there are you can use like FFmpeg with let's say TypeScript or other things like that. I guess one of the things, because I've done my own research on this too, is just like it's not as fluid or developed, and maybe those are the wrong words. There are a lot of other like settings and things that FFmpeg can do, but it's based on like GPU and CPU. I think things like that, and I think Steven has videos. I'll put like a little description to that for some more information because it will be helpful for people who obviously like want to make edits to this. But that's like one of the main reasons why it's like based in Python and everything because I wanted to make like a TypeScript version, and as I made my own like internal tool or micro tool and actually wanted to make like a SaaS because a lot of people were kind of asking for an interface for the toolkit. I learned a lot of different things about like the toolkit and just things in general that have to do with like the same thing, transforming media files because I also added my own endpoints. Like I ended up doing research, and I don't have this anymore. I been deleted it. I wish I would have saved it, but I wasn't thinking. But like I did research on just obviously like things FFmpeg can do, so it can like uh do like green screen stuff. It can do layovers. You could do like picture in picture. Like there's so many things literally. Like I was like, okay, talk to ChatGPT, talk to Claude or whatever. Got like these 10 different things. And then as an experiment, just like built them on to the repo. I cloned the repo. Um, and this Claude Code obviously wasn't out, but I think I was just doing this with like Windsurfer Cursor at the time and had it go through it and was like, yeah, what other things can I use to do this? And I think, to be honest, maybe, maybe FFmpeg into oh my God, it's gonna be so terrible. I do not remember what I made.
Talking about the dashboard you were trying to
Yeah,
make. I remember
yeah.
something
Well, I
about
did
a
make it.
dashboard.
Yeah, I made like it was like a whole SaaS.
Oh yeah.
It was there. I just and I still have it. I'm gonna restart. It was just a good learning experience on that level, if that made sense. Like I really did learn a lot in terms of on both sides. It helped me learn Supabase a lot, and then it helped me learn just like I said how the toolkit was. Like I went through this long loop of like not understanding that and these are like small, super technical things like in the toolkit, the base version, when you, like I said, download a file, it doesn't, and like you try to open that file from your bucket, you can't open it. It will automatically just like download to your actual device, which is like a problem because if someone's going to use this, right, and they're editing anything or doing anything, like I need that file to be able to be shown. So I learned a lot just going from like file goes in the bucket, toolkit edits this file, how is this displayed? And from that, like it was literally like 15 things in between, which ultimately
Mhm.
came down to, oh, this doesn't set a header
Yeah.
because of the MIME type is like, even though it sets the MIME type because of the header is acknowledge stream, that basically means like we know what the file is, but we're not verifying that it's exactly this file. So it's like a question mark basically. It's
Yeah.
super weird. So I went through literally like I'm talking about like 5 days, like at least $60 worth of like cursor credits at the time. And I wasn't upset. It was like it really helped me learn a lot. But just that itself, because I had to like when this got uploaded to Supabase and this edge function was supposed to do this thing, um, what was happening. Like it kept telling me like, oh, we don't know what type of file this is. And I'm like, but it's right here. It's saying like it's an MP4 file. And it's like, okay, let me do more research on like what acknowledge stream is and like and look into like what is a specific thing. And then there's a difference between like knowing what's a bug and if is uh is this how this really works? Right? There's a clear difference between that. I thought it was a bug. It was not a bug. That was just literally how it was built because when Steven built it at the time, and I don't even say at the time, it makes sense that building it because it's going in a bucket, you don't need to see it visibly on the screen. Does that make sense? You following me? Because how the toolkit works, it's attached to the bucket. It's not like you're doing that like right now on the screen. It's always going to be in the bucket. And more than likely, you would just pull that file from the bucket, right? So it's little things like that that really help you think and like the architecture and other things because now I'm like, oh, okay, if everything's going to come from the bucket, then I can just pull from the bucket because this user is already here and this is going to have the ID. And like, I don't have to actually send it to this edge function to anything because I just need a webhook because the NCA toolkit, I can put a webhook here. Now that webhook could be the route, which is like all these other things just really helped me learn so much. But yeah, I actually did build all of this. It's just then after a matter was like, how to get other people to understand this because it's not something I want to maintain, right? So that was a whole kind of like developer turmoil I had myself, but I do plan like in the next 30 to 60 days to probably like have a session where I build an actual smaller version of that in general. Not as big as like that was a full SaaS like from not from, but like that code base is very, very large. Like it requires definitely, I don't know how to say this and not sounding cocky. Like people are gonna have to come back for support, and I guess I still haven't like mapped that out yet. And other things. Now there are tools to like actually really help me with that, which is why I'm probably gonna build a smaller version. But yeah. Um, any questions so far about that or anything? No. Okay. And then I know yesterday, which is kind of funny, some of these, oh, let me make sure I'm just in the chat right here. Got you. I know yesterday and kind of the day before. So I know the first day we played with FFmpeg, and then 2 days ago we talked about or brought up the NCA toolkit, and then yesterday I actually like redeployed that on Hostinger again, and then just ran that, right? Does anybody, so actually let's talk about that, right? Because I'll go into Scott here. So there's multiple ways to set up the toolkit, but I would say, so my personal opinion, the best, of course, would be Google Cloud because you only pay for what you use. I do look at Hostinger the same way because if you pay, so like I pay for the most expensive server, which is like the $60 server. It's like 300 gigs. You don't need all that. But I do multiple things on that server, on that VPS. Or you can buy a smaller server, like the second tier one, or maybe the third tier one, and you actually don't even need the third tier one. You just need the second tier one, and it would be super good, and you don't have to you're only paying that monthly fee, or maybe you pay yearly and then you only pay that. I kind of look at that as equivalent. You're not like paying for more things. But setting it up on Google is definitely very difficult. Even I didn't have success in doing that at first and did not want to keep going through that because in Google Cloud, there's just like so many rules and restrictions to set it up, even with a workspace. Oh, and there's two people in the waiting room that I did not see. Do, do, do. Philip, how you doing? You don't have to speak if you don't want to. I'm just acknowledging you. How you doing? You do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or come off the mic. Today's topic, just like a little bit of recap, because I never want to assume. We're talking about a tool called FFmpeg, which is also a tool called the NCA Toolkit, which is built on top of the FFmpeg that's used as an API. And it has many different properties. It can transcribe media, it can cut up videos, it can stitch together multiple videos, it can do a plethora of things. So if you are in the realm of thinking about doing anything with content or different things like that, kind of to give like a context. And right now I'm talking about like how to deploy that specifically on Google Cloud. So I made a tool because it's very hard to deploy on Google Cloud. And Scott, if you want to try this right now, feel free like in the background to do so because I always forget that I like build stuff all the time and I never make like post about it and stuff like that. So I think it's install. I think I have a post. Yeah, it's right here. So I could put this in the chat. And then it's super simple. Like you just literally come click this button and then it literally does everything for you. You don't have to do anything. You'll set up a bucket. The only thing you need to have is billing enabled on a project. And if you don't, it will tell you. And then I think it will actually wait for you to set that up. And then you can just press like Y to start the process back up again. But whatever messes up, you can just let me know. Ah, okay, you got the other one on Hostinger. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I do. I will say, because I have one set up on Google Cloud, but I don't use it as much. One, it was just something I did because I had to build this tool, obviously, so I have to make sure to deploy somewhere. But also too, the Hostinger speed of like their server is just really good. That's not to say like Google is not, but it's just really amazing. Um, so yeah, Scott, if you do that right now, or if anybody is curious about setting that up on Google Cloud, feel free to click that. Let me know if you have any problems, and then I will know to update that and fix that. But about 3 weeks ago when I updated it, it was good. Any questions so far on that at all?
No, but the Hostinger idea is interesting to me.
Yeah, I like the speed. Somebody else who was in the community before, Jason, he kind of went into he's the one who kind of put me on Hostinger, specifically like the speed. I actually looked at like some automations run in real time of the toolkit. Like they were lightning fast. And the pricing of Hostinger is good, and their actual servers and cores are actually better than like DigitalOcean and stuff like that. Besides the fact that like this on DigitalOcean, the price goes up. There's like no consistent price or anything like that.
Yeah. So this one click is for GCP. It's for Google.
Yeah, it's only for Google. The reason why I don't have like a one click for like a VPS basically is because you could just use the MCP like I did yesterday to set it up on there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Were you on yesterday's call or no?
No, I wasn't on yesterday's call
Oh yeah.
for.
So yesterday I'll put the YouTube video here, but Adam, who's also like in the community, he specifically asked me to do that again. So my Hostinger account literally like I need to pay the bill that day. So I paid the bill that day, reset it, see
Nice.
like logged in, use the MCP, SSH MCP to log into any VPS. So it could be Hostinger, it could be DigitalOcean.
Right.
It doesn't matter, right? But this MCP will allow you access to the server. And then I just say, hey, put in the documentation for the toolkit, and it deployed it on the server. Yesterday's video shows going through that. So that's why I don't have
Interesting.
one click install for that, because you still have to um, go get the password and like do like other things that I could be wrong, but it just was like it didn't make sense to make a one click where you can just hook up the MCP and have it do
Yeah.
the thing right there.
And where are your videos going? Are they up?
Oh, so
Because
specifically most of the time. So yesterday I did this as well. So the one thing I do like DigitalOcean for is for their buckets. So obviously when you use the NCA toolkit, you need a bucket, which is basically where files go. $5 gets you like a bucket with 250 gigs. So this is
okay.
where all my buckets go. Whenever I test anything with the NCA toolkit or build anything for anything, like this is where all of these that's weird that it did that. I thought I was going into a folder right there. Was I not understanding? Yeah, all of this stuff will go like in here, and these are different videos of even videos like 10 months ago. This is around the time I was doing that testing I was told you about with
Yeah.
so but you can use Cloudflare, you can use Supabase. There's multiple S3 providers.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the toolkit. So it works with any provider, anything that uses S3, which is almost everything because that's like the main
It's standard
standard
now. Yeah.
for files and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I just think DigitalOcean is kind of the easiest. And then also I have like $100 of credits on here. So it really costs me nothing. Can do
Yeah.
the same thing with Supabase as well, with a cloud one, 2 free projects. They give you way more than enough. Cloudflare is the same thing. You can get a bucket for free. I don't like Cloudflare though because the rules are very. I think. Give me 1 minute. I think somebody's trying to Discord call me right now.
Interesting.
And that's literally somebody from N8N who like the Discord who hears me speak. They don't work for N8N, but like they hear me speak all the time. And like he's like, I have this amazing opera. That's so random that he's calling me right now. I did not ask him to call me. Anyway, sorry, that was so weird though. Could you guys hear that ring or no?
I heard a sound, but I couldn't place it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was getting back to this. So yeah, I don't like Cloudflare. Yeah, because their rules on their buckets, like I only know this because when there are pull requests to add certain things, which was kind of like what I was referencing to um earlier. So like even I have oh yeah, like this one right here, that's the one I was talking about, right? The content type, because it's not uh set, like you can't just like click on something. Like if I click on something from this bucket, actually I can show you in real time. Oh, it might work. Yeah, so I'm either gonna get something like this or it's just gonna automatically download every time I try to click on it. Maybe. And obviously, depending on like what you use, some people obviously like for whatever reason they are going to use a certain platform. Like this guy, he had a pull request. Where do I go to even see this again on here? All right, so this is my NCA Toolkit bucket when I was testing this thing. And then like if I go here, see how it's automatically downloading? I'll try to do it again. Right? It's not gonna pop up because of that one thing that I said earlier. So I just made I Steven has his own process of how he goes about updating that. And that was just something I couldn't wait for. Not to say that that's not something he won't do, but of course, that's the good thing about something being on GitHub where you can just fork it, make your own version, do stuff like that. But that's just going into like my knowledge of using this and building things around it. And it isn't more like of a limitation thing. It's just like, oh, these things work like this because FFmpeg may have some limitation. And because it's not on CPU or GPU, which I don't say is the end of the world or other things like that. Or for example, like you might want to add a font, right? And, you could fork your own version and just add your own thing of fonts and have this just do whatever it is, um, which is really cool. So yeah, I definitely at least have. I don't even think about how many hours playing with that because that SaaS project definitely was like I was like 30 days itself. Um, any questions so far about anything? And I just went over with that.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Got you. Well, I guess Adam going kind of a little bit towards I guess kind of building off your idea or what you're thinking about with what you said earlier on the call of, making your own, forking your own version, obviously, and
Yeah.
adding those certain things onto that. What were you like thinking about, or if you want to kind of go into that, or
Um, I'd have to pull it up. It was a couple days ago that I ran the kind of a code review research on it, and I was just looking for um, areas of improvement, and then I was looking for vulnerabilities so that if I did fork it, I was going to patch things. Um, but I got busy with some, actual work, so I couldn't go beyond the first run of the research. Um,
got you?
but I wanted to just, I wanted to see if there's a way to make it a little bit better. Um, and then I saw, that you were going to do this kind of session of,
Yeah, I can't say anything on so this code review, I guess, is always. I overanalyze it. And I think I overanalyze it because I'm not like a programmer, right? That's always at the top of everything with this stuff. Like I'm not a programmer. And actually, I'm gonna share a really, really good. video that I just watched before this where a guy did a study kind of on like, does, you know, does AI actually produce bad code and like everything in between that, which was like, oh my God, one of the best videos I've seen on the topic so far. So amazing. And he did like a real world test with actual programmers, not like
Oh
vibe
yeah.
codes and stuff like that, which was
So
really cool.
yeah, I mean, I've been doing this kind of business for a long time, and my takeaway is it codes just as well as the majority of people I've ever told to go code
Yeah, I'm
specs.
starting.
And you know, you always got to go back. You always got to double check things. You got to check feature by feature. It's
Mm-hmm.
no different. The only difference is I don't have to talk to anybody, and it runs while I go do other things. So
Right,
you know,
right. Yeah, and that was kind of, I won't spoil that whole video, but that was kind of uh what the sum of the video was. It was definitely a very different take on obviously what's being put out here for
yeah.
whatever reasons and stuff like that. But I know what I did, what I did with that first project, and this is not to say you can't look it up if you want to do it like in TypeScript, and maybe that's because you're Next.js. I found it in one of the lessons I learned, which was cool. Like I found it going into what I was saying, and like I said, I have to get some more precise information from Steven when I post this on YouTube to like have at the bottom or just have like a little document if people want to use Claude Code to like build with it, so it helps with like that development process with Claude Code. Um, Dang, what was I gonna say before I lose that train of thought? I looked up like what was the TypeScript equivalent for FFmpeg, if that makes sense. And to be
Mhm.
honest, I found just using this in this Python was way better and easier. Way better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably where yeah, I don't think I would convert it per se, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Or even just trying to find like equivalents for certain things. I forgot what it was because there's like two versions, and I forgot what are like different between them, and I can't remember the names. But yeah, I just found it easier just to leave it in Python and then um, do that, like actually really have it as a separate backend. Whereas, like, not to be too technical, this is so good that to be honest, you don't need a backend because one, um, let me be like a little technical here to think about architecture because it might depend on what you're doing, right? So going back to like this is powered by S3 buckets. The reason why I like Supabase a lot, and this was when you watched the video yesterday, Adam was kind of asking me about these things because he has it on HostSinger, but he was kind of asking me like, why don't I put the files on HostSinger? And I was trying to explain, at least to my knowledge, like there's no way to do that besides you probably making like a custom coded solution with the Amazon S3 like SDK and hosting something. One, I don't even know if you can self-host S3. Now let me be specific when I say that and go into what I went into yesterday. Steven has a video with self-hosting for S3 for something called min.io. From
Yep.
my understanding and a post that someone did in the community, the license has changed around this
Yep.
or something
It's
else
dead.
to where you can't self-host it anymore.
Yeah, you have to use something that came out of Italy. It's an open source project. I think they call it's like I don't want to say it's garbage. I think it's called something like garbage. I
Oh,
can't remember. I did some work on it. I did some work on it on research on the replacement. I should double check. It's in my Claude history.
yeah, I have to go back into what this has, but from my understanding of just what other people have posted of using this, because it was a really good solution, it's not the same anymore.
No,
The
it's dead. It's
Yeah,
definitely dead.
the other solution that Steven showed me before was Pocket Base. Now this I can't say looks good or looks bad because I honestly don't know. I haven't used it, but I know that when I look into like immediate documentation and I see things like this, it says not recommended for production. I'm not even
Yeah.
looking at it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that might be an overstatement. They might not have even updated this. I really have no clue. But as soon as I see things like that, it's out the way. So for me, Supabase is the next best thing because depending on what I want to do, more than likely, I look at it like this. If it's for me, then I are probably already am gonna make a Supabase project that's dedicated for my business or a business, right?
Yeah.
That includes contacts, like all these other things. And now they have this database for file, content management, all those other things. So Supabase excels at that because since it also does S3, whatever you're going to do later on in that bucket, you can easily tie it to any user. It's super amazing. So it's like just keeping it all in that like real close
Yeah.
ecosystem of things happening was like I haven't really seen anything that I think
It's
like
called, yeah. So I use Supabase too, and I pay for the $20 thing, and I'll probably use it for my federated authentication. I'll probably use it for S3, but the one I was talking about is actually out of France. It's called Garage HQ. I just put the link in chat, and that is a replacement for MinIO.
got you. This is only self-host or is it cloud as well?
I don't remember if they do cloud.
Because I don't see any like pricing here. I just see download.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like it kind of a Euro freebie.
And they don't say anything about self-host. This is all not to say you couldn't do that, but okay. Yeah, that's good. I will look into that
But
later.
I like the. I mean, right now I like Supabase too. So I'm with
Yeah,
you on
yeah, I
that.
can't complain. Like I said, free plan. If they didn't have a very generous free plan, I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I can't really complain. But I was gonna say, like, what's also cool, because of how the NCA Toolkit works, like especially with the webhook function, like you can just make an edge function in Supabase, which is can be a webhook as well. And every time something's done, it just gets sent there. It's like so easy. It's just like the best kind of like little ecosystem. And that's what that project was doing. It was mainly going to be for Superbase, but of course I started thinking there's too much like a developer and there's other things that people want to use. For instance, like if somebody wanted to use the Cloudflare one, and then I was like, oh, I gotta have other docs for this or make extra code just for this, even for these certain things because it's like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, now I'm just gonna make like a super smaller version later on
Mm.
and do some stuff.
Yeah.
But that's to give a little bit more context in there. But I guess maybe what we'll do is I guess kind of do what actually let me think about this. I can cheat actually, because I already have this here. In my folder. I just need to make sure I know which one it is. So I've built a lot of stuff. I think this, so when I say I've built, yeah, I think some of these videos are going to expose me in a good, funny way. So I have an actual custom N8N Gamma node that now that I remember, I need to submit so it can be verified and official. You can use it now on self-hosted ones, but you can't use it on cloud. And then I did make a MCP for the toolkit. I won't get into that. That was just like an experiment, not really important. That's the SaaS project, but I do have actually like I should have that repo here by itself. Yeah, it should be right here. So going into you downloaded this. Yeah, this has everything here. Let's close this. And then just really quick, Philip, do you use Claude at all? Or do you pay for Claude? And Jamu, I don't think I asked you that yesterday either. Do you guys pay for Claude and have not used Claude Code yet, or you do pay? Okay. Have you used Claude Code yet or no? You use Cloud Code. Okay, so you're familiar. I don't have to go into like. I just want to make sure to some people who watch this later or join if they don't know how to like go into the IDE and start a Cloud Code and all those other things. So okay, I think I'm pretty good here. So I'm just opening up my terminal here. I'm going to Cloud Code, and then we're gonna. So Adam, if you can, one more time, what's like another, I guess, like endpoint we'll use that or feature you'd like to see on the toolkit, even if it's off the top of your head, you can't even remember what.
Yeah. Um, I was going to start exploring this idea of kind of the chat interface with it and not try to build, I don't want to build a UI on top of it, but I want people to be able to start thinking about self-editing. Like, let's say you had a 10-minute video and you wanted to break it into the 1 minute segments, right?
Mhm.
And instead of going through the whole mess of N8N or make or whatever, I wanted to just skip ahead to getting it deployed somewhere and then using the chat interface type of UI to have people be able to upload a file and talk to the toolkit or FFmpeg and have it do the things that they want it to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think I know exactly where you're
yeah.
going with that. So I guess what I'll kind of do is because I feel like I I won't say I can create that. Obviously, I can go into like what you can do to go into creating that, but no, that's a very solid idea. And actually, to be honest, um, I think I actually can go into creating that because that will probably lead into what I was talking about last time as far as like I'm gonna be making some content around just like the toolkit using it anyway. Because one of the
Yeah.
things that a lot of people request is usually around content or media, right? Some type of stuff like that. Or the end result is like it's either like two things, like they already have it and it needs to be cut up, right? And how can you do that? And the toolkit can be very easy, right? You can have a chat interface, have it talk to the documents, I mean the files, see all that stuff, then make a whole plan of how you cut it up. Literally your own Opus clip, right? That's literally what the toolkit can be,
Exactly. You got
right?
it.
So
It's exactly right. So,
yeah,
so this is
so
what, and I'll tell you the exact use case. I gave, there's a guy I'm trying to get him to understand what modern marketing could be.
mhm,
And he's a little stuck in his ways, but he's complaining that his company is not growing. So we created a script and he read the script off, a rough video. He read the script off and there's some key words or a key pause so that I could have a natural place to edit. And then I was like, you know what? I can do something better. Right. And I can build something better I can tell it what to expect in the video and where those cut the not, where we put in the script a word or a trigger so that the system can say, oh yeah, I heard that. I'm going to go cut there, and I can cut, 1 or 2 seconds on either side of the word,
mhm.
that kind of stuff. I think, exactly what
Got
you're
you,
saying.
got you. So I'm gonna go into literally all that stuff. But first, I want to say real quick, coming back to the chat for Philip, using it through VS Code like me. So you can use Claude Code. So when you say that, are you just using it through the terminal, like without any IDE at all? But also, too, if anyone else wants to build on kind of like what me and Adam are talking about too, because I want to take, if you guys do, I want to say like, okay, so if I had this idea of building this, this is exactly where I would go, what I would use, all those other things, kind of like talking about it more of, and if you've been here for the other builds or if you haven't, basically the whole premise is you don't need to build from scratch. There's a lot of things already set up for you to help with ideas like that. Got you through the CLI. You use it through the Claude app interface. So you're just using Claude on the web, which is a little bit different than just using it on your terminal through everything here, right? Okay, so just fast forward through a couple things. It's not that different. The only difference, and I think they did an update, I could be wrong, but Cloud Code on your laptop or computer has access to all of your files, right? And with all of those files, like I have a folder named code, and this just has to do with projects that I vibe code, other things like I may be making content, like I have a content folder where I use FFmpeg to go through content. Maybe it's like Zoom stuff, right? So like after, perfect example, like when this is done, later on I'm gonna go use, I'm not even gonna use the toolkit, which is still FFmpeg, right? But I have FFmpeg installed on my computer. I'm gonna have Claude Code give that file to FFmpeg to give me the transcript, so then I can do some other stuff later on when I go back and edit some of these YouTube videos and put like the timeline and transcriptions and like all this other stuff there. Because I'm just too lazy to automate it. I'm doing too much stuff doing this, so I don't mind. But when you're using it in an IDE, there's really two ways to use it. Almost all IDEs are going to have some type of extension bar because they're all based on VS Code. And the reason I chose to use VS Code for this is because Cursor, Windsurf, Bolt, all the other ones are a version of VS Code. They came from VS Code, right? So I built the same stuff. So you would come here to your extensions, type in Claude. This little thing would pop up here. And if you're using the extension, you click this little thing here and you'll get an interface. If you're not using the extension, and I don't use the extension because I used to use the extension, and what happened is there used to be like bugs that happen, which still would have happened here in the terminal. It's just I went through a process of learning how to fix those, and then which led me to being in the terminal a little bit more. And the interface just looked exactly the same to me, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And as much research as I try to do, I can't find really the difference besides like this just being in a more like square box that's more like containerized. I don't know how to explain it. But that's just to give you like a little depth of using this inside of here. So back to that, right? Let's kind of talk about making our own Opus clips. And Steven even talks about this and stuff, but I guess doing it more from not a from scratch style. So as soon as I think about chat interface, right? Because let's take away the actual deployment of the NCA toolkit. What would you really need for this to understand that? Well, you really just need the documentation of the NCA toolkit and all those other things, right? That a large language model is going to be able to use to do those things. So the first thing I'm going to think of is first, you know, and this is a terrible way to do this. Obviously, you could be doing this in Claude, and that didn't do what I wanted it to do. But I'm just typing in chat templates Vercel. And
I
I'm
was
being
going to say
very
exactly the Next.js Vercel is exactly what I was thinking about.
right. So they have tons of templates, tons of chatbot templates, tons of, other templates with the AI SDK here, which if you don't know what the SDK is, you know, you should know. Oh, well, okay, why did that do that? That's so super
Huh.
crazy, right? I'm
That
pretty
was
sure if
awesome.
I click the button, right, it's just closed everything, right? And even if you have a Vercel account. Now, obviously, I'm deploying this to cloud right now, right? Which still doesn't matter because if this deploys to cloud, then I just open up a new project and I clone that, and then I have this project here. So, like, let's literally do that in real time. All right, so this is gonna, I'm missing something.
That's the
Um,
storage part.
no,
Interesting.
I don't want to. Oh, I guess you need storage. That's why I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. Yeah, because I know you gotta pay for it.
Yeah, they
Okay,
want you to
at
pay
least
for
I
all
at
the
least
crap.
have. And the only thing I don't like about this is like you have to connect to their Neon account first, and then later if you have your own, then it switches to the Neon account. That's the only reason I don't like doing it. But I don't mind going through it through here. It's fine with the video. Give me 1 minute, guys. Let me answer this. It's actually my roommate. Very weird distraction. Oh no, I think he remembers that. I'm in a call. I'm in a meeting right now. So okay, this was able to do that. Let's no, it still didn't even let me. Are you holding me hostage? Okay, hold on. Yeah, he literally just texted me, my bad. I see you recording. Did this just deploy or no, I don't think it did. I need to confirm because it's saying that like I can't use that get name, but yeah, it did. No, it didn't. It broke. Okay. That's funny. Let's try again. Yeah, I think something's broke right here, which is fine. That literally happens. I'm not gonna say all the time, but it's yeah, because there's no repo here. You're saying I'm connected to a repo, but there's nothing. Wait, huh? Oh yeah, no, this is like lagging. That's not the right. Okay, yeah. I don't know why that was being slow. I'm like, there are no deployments here. Okay. I'm just like doing my own triple checking. So let's do that again. Let's go to Vercel chat examples. And you know what? I'm actually so bad. I'm doing a terrible example at this because really what you can do is go to Vercel, get examples. Oh, and here we go. So, and this is to give an idea. Almost all like of the repositories are like this. So you can type in like Anthropic examples or whatever, usually examples, and there will be like building examples that you can go use. Uh, right. And they're like all so usually they're like in guides or they're like in apps or examples. But back to the whole main point, you can come here, you can use an example of a chat. And actually, I think what I'm gonna do is since that one's kind of messing I I have one, I think. Hold on. I might be able to solve this. I that's the vibe coding one. Where's the one with the chat with the SDK? I deleted it. I deleted it. Nope, we're gonna find that. We have to find it. Nope. We have to find it. So it's not that one, bro. What I wanna where's the one with the SDK? They have so many and I know specifically which one I want to look for now, so just bear with me just a little bit. Cause I just that's not this is what I'm looking for. But what version of the SDK is okay, 3 weeks ago. This is actually not the one I'm looking for, but it's fine. So let's go to VS Code and let's um we're gonna do a trick here. We're gonna just run two VS Codes. And then I'm gonna clone a Git repository, clone from GitHub. I've not signed in with GitHub, so it's going to ask me to sign in with GitHub to make this really easy. And that's mainly because I use Windsurf, but for this tutorial, I'm using Claude Code. Now it's automatically connected here. And those two are broken. They did not work. So I'm going to put in this one so it can actually find like the one I'm looking, which is still the same one, but we're going to pull this in locally, not just deploy it to the cloud because something's going on. So I need to make a new folder. I need to let me right click in between here. Thank you. New folder. We're gonna name this Vercel Chat NCA. We're gonna open that. It's gonna clone this inside of here. We're gonna open in a new window. Trust terminal. Close this here. Please don't do stuff like that. I don't like that. Claude. Oh, then it just stays here. It just doesn't go away. No, why? Okay, I guess. that's gonna bother me. So first, what are my first commands gonna be like once I install this here? First, for me personally, I need to turn off my MCPs because I have a grip on every time I start a project. So disable 10 MCP servers because that would be a whole grip of my context. And then slash init. So Claude Code can do its own scan of this code base. I'll talk about something separate really quick, that a framework that I actually use and kind of get you guys into thinking about things. So the AI SDK, really quick, if you don't know what that is basically a AI gateway by Vercel, all built in TypeScript. And basically it allows you to literally pull in any provider, image models, a whole group of things, right? So this is like really important. And some these should be pins in when you want to vibe code or develop. This goes into like what I really mean by not wasting time building from scratch. More than likely, you're going to build something for yourself or a client or someone else. And this is like two things are going to happen. Maybe one, if I describe this right. They're going to be like, oh, OpenAI is the best, and I want to use this or use that. And more than likely, what's going to happen is like, you either need to switch a model or something's going to change and you are going to change a whole grip of code to do that. Or what's going to happen is you may want OpenAI to do this one thing and want Anthropic to do that. Or maybe it's just a product where people want to have different providers. Why? Because there are other products that do that and it's very common. How do they do that? They do that with gateways, right? So you basically have Vercel as your gateway that with a little bit lines of code when it comes to doing whatever you want, you have access to all these models. Now, Vercel is not the only AI gateway. There are multiple gateways. That's a whole different conversation. But just to get that really keeps doing that. Just to get into, what this is and why I keep referencing or and looking for one. And by the way, they're on version 6 of their SDK right now. And I think it's really easy and stuff to get started. Now, also, if you don't know, when you actually sign in with Vercel, even on a free account, what I do like about this is that they give you like $5 of credits every month, which is kind of cool. So if you come here, you go to get your API key. Of course, you can bring your own key, you can do a whole group of things, but I think if I go to overview, there we go. So I use this all the time in testing for building. Super easy. Don't have to really put up any money. I'm probably not going to do enough testing or MVP where I'm building for somebody where run a whole $5 up, especially if I'm getting it every month. But also, too, if you pay for Vercel, the $20 version, they give you $20 of credits every month. And I think they just did something else because they got some AI agent out where they just gave out $50 of credits. So those are always things that like I just glad I am aware of, because when it comes to building, and I'm not going to say there's not going to come a time where you're not using your own money, like from those API keys that you put, right? Those credits. But if you don't have to, it's super easy, super great. So I know I kind of went on a little tangent there, but I wanted that to do that. So let's come back here. And this is still literally exploring all of this code base. But going into why I went into that to go into the next one. When you want to get into like frameworks, right, which is like really important, like one that I really like a lot, this is kind of going into, I follow TypeScript a lot, and I don't mean to get like super technical or programming here, even though I'm not a programmer. But like with everything we do, there are frameworks or standards or protocols. TypeScript is a upcoming, I guess, standard. I don't even know if that's the right word to say that, but it's basically the opposite of Python when you're working with Next.js and other stuff like that, becoming very popular. So there's a whole framework called Mastra, which is literally built for agents. This is a whole like agentic framework. You can self-host it. They have a cloud version. It is very powerful. Found out about this because I have a friend who's an actual programmer who builds software for the military. This is what he uses in his tech stack all the time. And I also like looking at different stuff like this because when you get into like just looking at how they do things or how things work, and then you compare that with other frameworks or things that you may find, whether it's in TypeScript or something else, it's really cool. And then to get like real personal, I joined their Discord server and I'm in their Discord server just to learn more and see what other people are doing and all those other things in between. So what I would do, and this is what I am doing, is even though, right, Vercel gives us the ability to do all this stuff and use all of these things. And I could be wrong on this next statement I'm saying, so I'm going to be very careful with my words. Even with this AI gateway here, this doesn't give you access to agents, right? At least as far as I know. And even if I was to go into, I'm sure this is, let's see, AI SDK agents, and it's probably going to do what I think it does. So let's see, sub agents. Oh, so this is actually perfect. I'm glad I like to look things up and do things like in real time to do this, right? So you can make sub agents, and not even to try to get into like the let's start from the top up here, actually. Agents. Oh, no, the same thing, right? Because how do I want to make sure I'm explaining this right, right? So like they do have this framework. Now let's just say I didn't like whatever this documentation was about to say next about how they work with agents or whatever the limitations are. Guess what's cool about Mastra? If I go to the Mastra docs and then I'm not going to go to the whole specifics. When you come to Mastra and you learn about Mastra, you'll learn that yes, Mastra is its own agentic framework, and yes, it also has workflows, right? Like all the same stuff that the um, Vercel AI SDK had. And I guess the whole point I'm getting into is like it's good to know about these different things because at the end of the day, Mastra also works with the AI SDK, right? So if I'm using and hopefully you guys are kind of like following kind of what I'm saying here, just in terms of like resources and building, right? I want to go build a tool, right? I see that Vercel is going to help me fast forward with that. And also because of Vercel has a big framework, there are other frameworks that go into that. So I might just use Vercel as, and this is also important too, because when you like sometimes, and some of these frameworks like Mastra, and I could be wrong, sometimes I think they're even built on top of other frameworks like the SDK, once again, which is cool. So like, let's say I didn't like Mastra, let's say I came to Mastra just to explore it, and I didn't like how they originally did things. Well, oh, Mastra uses the AI SDK. Now my agents have all the access on top of the SDK, if that makes sense. And there's still other things in between there. So I just think that's like super important because if I was to make my own Opus clip, I would use Mastra as my agent, right? I would have my agent that did A, that did B, that did C. To be even more specific, I would just have agents that were experts on certain endpoints to do certain things. So maybe these are this agent only handles stuff that has to do with the transcription. Maybe this agent only handles stuff to do with this. Get into the whole point of making this kind of chat interface that's going to do things that interacts with this API that uh, revolves around like content and transforming the content. What's also cool with that I can see that agents have access to tools and NCPs, which at the end of the day, what is that? Um the agents can then actually make those tool calls, right? And be interactive in this chat. Going back to what I was saying earlier, you find out that agents can actually authenticate other things or attach to other frameworks like you're using Supabase. So I mean, you're like super in the weeds of all that stuff, but I think it's like really important. Um, however you find out about it, or if you ask Claude Code, like when you're doing stuff, are there any other frameworks or what should I look at and like all these things like that and stuff like that. Any questions on that so far or anything? No, no, no. So coming back here, I think this is still reading this. No, I don't want to install this. It's not needed. I think this is just being a little slow. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't mean my Zoom is trying to freeze my computer. Is this just not wanting to respond? Okay, very interesting. Did this like freeze itself? Okay, let's just do that. I'm still in that project, so let's just open up my terminal again. That's really weird. Is this not gonna close? And also, I think there's this, I don't know, it's probably my own setting. There's this like weird thing since I've updated. This thing doesn't save like conversations anymore. It keeps telling me there are no conversations. It's just so weird. So I would have to literally run that init command again. Can't even go back and be like, start from what it was already exploring. That's weird. I'm gonna have to look into that after this. I don't know if anybody else is having the same problem. I think it's me. I might have done something, but I don't think so. This for surely happened after I updated to the newest version. Need to go check the bugs maybe and see if this is something that's inside of there for that. And then even going on to that whole little kind of rant, because obviously one thing with, once again, for people who this may be the first video, when you're using Claude Code, and it doesn't matter if you're vibe coding or not, you should definitely get used to using multiple Claude codes at once. So this right now, even though this is something small of this Claude code, just going through this entire code base to understand how this code works. So when I want to build and add more to it, that will be a way smoother process. Now, once again, I have this other idea because I found out about Mastra that I can say, hey, can you go do some research on Mastra, the agentic TypeScript framework? I'm wondering how I can plug this into this application and use it for some things that I have later planned. And then just have that doing its own little plan thing until this part is done. Because really what I want to do here is make my CLAUDE.md file. So once again, this understands this code base so I can start running this locally and play around with the chat and see if there are any other things that might be missing in between in terms of it working and stuff like that. Then you have your environmental variables telling you what you need. This is probably going to ask me a question. Okay, no. And so I can see this going to read the Mastra docs. You can see this going through here. And this should at least run, this should at least open without all of these things right here. Pretty sure just the AI gateway is going to be needed. Why is this doing this again? Like, is this not work? What is going on? It's like not letting me, oh, okay, it's just like super delayed. That's really weird. So we're just playing the waiting game right now. Trying to think, is there anything else in terms of this? Mm, no, nothing I can think of right now. Let's see. Anything else you would have along with this? Doing some media transformation or something like that? I can't think of anything right now. Yeah, what questions do you have specifically on it, Jamie? Are you not familiar with like S3 and stuff like that or anything? I just want to make sure, like, while I answer it, I go into it the best way I can. This is gonna make me mad if this does not I gotta press one then, I guess. Okay, I can't use my arrow keys anymore. And then as you're probably typing something, I can go into that. So Supabase going into a bucket. I'm surprised. They should be asking me for a bill in like a day or two. That's so funny. Look at this little project that I had not restored. Um, which is the NCA Toolkit. Which is ironically what we're talking about, huh? So let this come back, and then I will go into that bucket and do things. But also, trying to switch into another account. Oh, I'm trying to switch into another. Wait, hold on. Did I just jinx myself? This is my main account. So where are my other projects? Did I move them somewhere? There's no way I did that. Okay. Does this project have a bucket? I don't think this has a bucket. We're not saving anything in here. Yeah, that's just onboarding stuff. I don't want to use that as an example. It's terrible. You're familiar with AWS Cloudflare S3, but not. Got you, got you. Well, I mean, it's literally the exact same thing as AWS in terms of like the bucket, how it works, all that stuff and everything. It's just I want to come in here because this is related to the toolkit specifically while this spins up. But it's super simple. Like you go, you make a bucket. I guess I'll go into this one. It's like you have storage right here. Obviously, you have buckets. You can make multiple buckets. You have settings for those buckets. Also, what's kind of cool is how can I show what I want to show? I have to make a new project. Nope, I should be able to come right here, maybe. Like they have like edge functions that do media transformation and stuff like that. So basically like when certain things hit a bucket, like as you can see, like they have different stuff right here. If I go to learn more, there's a lot of things that man, that are so cool that you can do in Supabase. And not to say like that wouldn't be the same thing that the NCA Toolkit couldn't do specifically like what we're talking about, because obviously this is like enabled for pro plans and above. But I always think it's just good to know um, these things and stuff like that. So you got like policies, constantly this is tied to like users who can see what in what bucket, depending on what it is. But you got a bucket. There's nothing in here because we're not using this bucket, which is why I didn't want to show anything. But yeah, you get an endpoint, you get a region, you get access keys. And then like, for example, with the NCA Toolkit, this is the information that you would put inside of there, but they have a whole documentation right here. And it's super simple. If you get more into like what I like about Supabase, they have something called a Supabase library. So they have a component called Drop Zone that ties in with Supabase that is tied to this bucket and uploading stuff and linking it back to a user and stuff like that. Like I said, pretty straightforward, nothing like too crazy or anything like that. And that was the wrong project. So the first agent hit an error, still reading. Okay, so this said, oh, this was literally just still writing. So actually, let's read this real quick, like, because I'm sure some people like ask me all the time, like, what it really is the CLAUDE.md file. So the markdown file for Claude specifically, like, this is the kind of like its brain. So whenever you ask it to do something, like, it's always going to reference this first because it's literally logging, taking information on how all of these things work here. Framework, database, auth, AI, styling, components, linting, testing, package, all those things the best way it can. So I'm gonna make that. How can I get this running on localhost 3000? So we'll put that there, and I think something else. Oh yeah, this is still literally doing this whole thing. Got you. Yeah, the docs for Supabase are very great, very great. No, I said start the server, please, on localhost 3000. I think it needs to kill something else. I already have something running on 3000, actually. Oh yeah, install the dependencies first. There you go. Run that good old npm install. And then I'm actually tricking, trying to be lazy. I'm gonna try to just connect with the CLI and like grab everything I need for my tokens and stuff. Sync this one. Did you still get stuck? Well, I now have a thorough understanding of Mastra in your code base. So making a plan. Spent about 60K tokens for that, huh? Oh, this is using Drizzle. I really didn't. Not a Drizzle friend. But I don't even see that as a oh, I was say, where's the library for Drizzle? It's right here. But I swear, VS Code, this must be the settings I have. Not seeing the color sometimes like throws me off. Oh yeah, see, I knew it was gonna not run on 3000, even though I said run on 3000. So this is loading. Let's see if it loads. Nope, there's something wrong, which probably makes sense. This probably actually needs to have like all of these variables here for no apparent reason. Um, bam. I would like to server to run on 3000. You can kill everything else and start it back up, but I'm still having problems. Do that. Let's look at this. Oh man, I thought it was gonna be a super long play. Do 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 do. Right, so this kind of is going back to what I was saying earlier. Right, 100% compatible with the AI SDK. Um, it's cool. I don't have to rip anything out, right? I just literally build on top of that, right? Agent layer, replace this with Mastra agents, multi-step reasoning, dynamic. And once again, this is not me saying that like AI Vercel SDK can't do this. It really goes into the matter of like experimenting yourself and seeing stuff and other things like that. I'm not going to go into all of that right now. We'll like just leave that there. That's probably going to go away in the conversation anyway, which is fine. But let's let it do that. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't have a .env local file, which I forgot I changed my instructions yesterday. But usually this will always make me a uh, env local file. And see, like I said, it's gonna see if Vercel is linked, all that stuff. So then it can try to do everything. All right, so then it's gonna add me to ask this. How are you gonna do this locally? And I'm not saying because I just want to see what it's gonna say and do. And sometimes I like just playing around with AI and doing that. But it's so funny that like I think it's assuming even though this is local here, it will still assume that, you get what I'm saying? I know these are Vercel services, right? The easiest path to run this locally is to link the Vercel project and then pull this. You know, it's actually funny. I really don't know that because I've never linked a project like that or deployed it like that or anything. But like, let's just see. It will help. So I don't think I logged in on, well, I am logged in, but I just don't think this is yeah, I was gonna say I'm definitely logged in with the CLI. And we did that in other videos, right? I logged in with the CLI. I think that was like on day 2, right? So like using this other CLI tools with Claude Code is like, there's no better shortcut than that for sure. I promise you. Let me say in my personal opinion, people might not like that comment, but even before Claude Code came out, like I have Claude desktop conversations of just like making like giving me instructions or knowing like trying to learn like the CLI uh commands from there. Now it's actually funny is, and this is what I don't like doing this. I'm not gonna say this is not a big deal, but this goes into like I think one of the biggest problems with vibe coding is like not knowing the normal development cycle. So right now, this is trying to suggest that I use cloud stuff, which doesn't make sense to me, just off the fact that one, I've never used Vercel for a database or anything like that. Or like, let me be specific. You can have a Neon account that's your own Neon account, and then Vercel can spin you up a Neon account, which is like tied to that Vercel, even though it's your Neon account. Same thing, but they still act a little different. Um, I'm also saying that because I don't, it, because like I said, this is trying to do a cloud. I'm trying to think of the right words here. Because this is like doing a cloud version, you would want a local version. So I was saying, like, I'm super curious on why you're suggesting cloud resources instead of just using like a local version of Postgres or something like that. And then when we push to Vercel, we would use the one in Vercel. It's like super kind of important distinction to not sometimes just have some time wasted or other things like that. I was just going to see if I have Postgres installed. Oh, I have Docker desktop, so it's going to pull it from Docker more than likely. So let's spin up a local Postgres container, which is cool to have Docker desktop installed. And that reminds me, I'm going to do a Claude Code in Docker desktop next week, most likely. Because that's another way to fast forward things like that. But Docker desktop is definitely your best friend when you're building. So this is going to fix kind of like that problem, like I said, right? Like I need to use a local version of this first instead of trying to just pull to the cloud one, especially if it's going to be the same thing. And then I can continue from there. Yeah, I am running on Opus 4.6 right now. Oh yeah, yeah, Adam, I'll put that in there. The YouTube of that. Yeah. I can't say like 4.6 feels different. Specifically, what I'm looking for is how you have agents run, which I'm not sure if you guys are looking at sometimes when that deploys or how that does that. They did just actually because they have an agent feature, but it's one session. Like it's not one session. It's like it's the same agent doing multiple things. It's not individual agents working on other things. So this new update just introduced actually that different agents working on individual things that they don't have to like wait on each other. And actually, when they're working on different things, like it's kind of cool. Like they could just see like the UI is different, or it'll say blocked, or it'll say like waiting on other agent to finish this and like other things. Um, but yeah, it is cool. Let me go grab the YouTube link for you.
Thanks.
This is still trying to start up everything. Oh, sometimes this gets stuck a little like that. And sometimes I think usually what it wants to do is try to just have this actually load up because that's what it's, yeah, so it just wanted me to go to that. And it won't tell you that. That's weird. I should have not done that and wait, but like I could tell by that command sometimes when it says waiting on input or something like that, especially if it's really not something you should be inputting, it's trying to wait for like something to happen on this page, even though this page still didn't uh load. So there we go, right? Like here is that chat interface, able to switch between different stuff. Of course, you could add stuff here. And I don't think this so I think for sure I would at least need my gateway key. Once again, doesn't matter if you see that, I will be changing it. So let's see, just a quick test. There we go. This is working. So then it'd be something super simple like clear this conversation. I need to create a new branch called NCA Toolkit documentation, and I want you to look up what the NCA Toolkit is. And the goal is to create a chat-like experience where users can. I stopped because users can do what? Adam. I mean, uh, uh, yeah, Adam. Sorry, I was like, having a brain fart for a minute.
Sorry, what was the question?
Users can do what again in the chat? What's the chat experience supposed to be like?
Oh, the interaction with NCA or FFmpeg. Yeah, I think at basic is just to chop. My use case was to chop a video into segments. Doesn't matter what it was, right? Just like can can I use it to split
Got you.
a video into one video into two or 10 or whatever? It doesn't matter.
Insert a video and then use the API to split that video. This also should be on a new branch as well. All right, because that's a feature I'm trying out. That's a new branch. Uh, Basically, a branch means I'm not gonna be on, like I can just work on it separately, and then I can see down here, just because I have some little cool stuff in my terminal that I'm actually on, not the main branch or the origin branch.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bug below your terminal was pretty cool to see the stuff down there.
Yeah, the Claude Code documentation is very lacking. So funny, sometimes people talk about like all these other things, but like I said,
Yep.
the regular like things that you can just do with Claude Code to then work with it are really cool and simple and very like straightforward. All right, so it found the GitHub, found the endpoint.
So how did you point it? All right, so we're in the project with the AI chatbot. How did it how did you point it to NCA Toolkit to
I just said look it
to
up.
yeah,
I
okay.
just said NCA Toolkit, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, granted, to your point though, like I Normally when you're what I found, especially with GitHub, and this is I'm not saying this in a matter of like they don't work. They all work on some level. There's obviously different levels more uh benefit. I find it better just to clone the repo and then have the agent go look in that actual folder on your device, if that makes sense. Because some
Yeah,
of those pages are
that's
not
what I
going to
was gonna
be,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
some of those pages are not going to like load or it may be too long or whatever. It's way better to say like, hey, go look in my other folder. So I say this all the time whenever I'm working in here, like, hey, go look in my code folder. I have another project named this, and there's the exact code right there. I want you to go use and reference and just do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what does this say? Key endpoints for your use case is video split. Takes a video URL and an array of splits, which each started at a timestamp and da 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 da. So this is gonna
Mhm.
make that little plan. We know how plan mode is.
Yep.
Sometimes, I mean, I'm down to still let this play out and to literally just do one example of that before we get off. I'm fine. I think that would be cool.
So
Uh,
effectively, yeah, it's forking the code. It's taking a look. Is it gonna incorporate that fork into this project, like
well, nah,
to
because
implement it?
because the so when you say the fork, you mean the fork of the toolkit?
Toolkit.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't need the fork of the toolkit. It's gonna. So that's a good question. So I'm gonna assume right now, one is just
Yeah.
doing it from an API perspective, which is kind of
Right.
how I've spoken to it, right? So I don't need to fork the toolkit in there because more than likely it's gonna just do some routes and API stuff, and then I guarantee it's gonna ask me where do you have it deployed or where it's at. I promise you
Okay.
that's the next best
That's what I
thing.
would. That's exactly
Mhm,
okay. That's where my brain was gonna. That was my endpoint. Is I'd
mhm,
have whatever version that I update the toolkit to be, that my AI would be over the top of it, and
mhm.
that's the yeah. Okay,
Now, now,
that's
now,
pretty
now,
cool.
now, granted, let me be a little bit more specific here. Normally, you would just have the toolkit, whether it was a version you forked or a clone
Hmm.
version, locally doing it before you tested the
Oh yeah,
main
yeah,
production, right? But you
yeah,
can,
yeah,
but it is something to just play around with in general, and then that's kind of giving context because you don't fully need like a database. You get what I'm saying? Like, in order to even use the toolkit, you need S3 setup. You get what I'm
yeah.
saying? So that's where your storage is. Anything else, you don't really need it. So it is one of those few things that you can play with the production URL, and it kind of really doesn't mean anything in terms of local because it would
Right.
be the same exact thing. But it's just something to kind of, I guess, be aware of.
Yeah, I probably would have. I'll probably have a staging and a. I'll call one staging and call one production. I mean, if I'm just putting it on um, some host and I'm pointing it at Supabase, I'll just have a naming convention so that
Yeah,
I can
I'll
screw
go
around
into
with one.
I'll go into the Supabase. Look, do you know how to work with Supabase locally, or do you just do it from the cloud?
Uh, I mean, I'm doing no, I haven't. I mean, besides, I've done browser and I've done MCP with Claude, but I haven't done anything
Yeah, to be honest,
locally.
I don't think I've yeah, really going back on it. I really don't think there's any recent videos besides from the Supabase team that people even know like what that looks like, and that's because of uh a lot of the vibe coding tools like don't build from like locally. Of course,
Yeah.
it's just straight from production. So now it's asking me how should users provide this? We're gonna do. Let's just actually do both, just to make
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say do both.
But user terms,
Just throw
yeah,
it
yeah,
out.
just not even gonna
Yeah,
worry
just
about
throw it out there.
that. User
No
terms
extra
the
code. No
AI.
extra code for you, man.
Right, 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 right. This one is an interesting one. User tells the AI the start time. Oh, you know what? Mm, the toolkit has an endpoint where it can get all of the metadata, including the start and end time of a video. The user really shouldn't need to do that. And then see, it's asking me, do I have this used? And then you know what I'll say? I do have one deployed, but if you look through my code folder, I think you'll find a local version that we can use there and you can just start it up. right, so let me find that in your local folder. All right, goes to look for that. So funny when it freezes like that sometimes, throws me for a
I
loop.
know.
It's like still working, man. Yesterday the agents were like that. Like the new thing is like it's like this or I don't know, but it makes like these orange boxes. So it had like 18 of the orange boxes. These were like
Yeah.
all the task and agent. And I swear for like 5 minutes it like did not do the little blinking or it was just like that. And I was like, bro, like
Oh, dude,
what are you
yesterday
doing?
was.
And it was like, no, 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 the agents are working. Like I can see the progress. I'm like, I can't see anything. And then like I do the background thing and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I was playing with the Claude desktop app and doing in the code window of the Claude desktop app, and it hung up on something, and I literally just typed in and said, "Bro, you okay?" And then it
You're like,
actually
oh yeah, my
responded.
bad.
It responded and said, "Oh yeah, yeah, sorry, I was doing some." Really,
Yeah,
thought that was hilarious.
funny. Yeah, those are funny. So it's doing that research on that meta endpoint, which is, I don't
I
know,
mean, it's
sometimes
a,
it's so, go ahead.
no, no. I was gonna say, like, it's just sometimes you're looking at this, right,
Hmm.
and take it from a veteran coder. You're like, "Oh, it's not doing what I want, so really quickly. Like, it hasn't found that new endpoint we just talked about. It's still thinking." And I have to say, like, you don't realize how long it used to take us to build things like this, to do the research ourselves with, like, command line query tools, right, to see
Right,
what's in the
right, right,
file
right.
system, and
Right, right,
then
right, right.
work. Like, it's still so much faster than coding used to
Yeah,
be.
then doing it regularly. Yeah, that video I was watching earlier was basically kind of saying the same thing. It really the overall conclusion was like it's not making it any better and it's not making it any worse, but you can track like small and like there are improvements, which
Yeah,
is good, but it's not is this not letting me paste this here? What the hell? It's not like how the fear mongering is going with the AI and stuff like that and everything.
yeah,
And obviously if you know one of the more important things he said was like basically it really comes down to kind of like what you know. Like if obviously you know developer habits or tactics or whatever, whether you're technical or
yeah.
not, like the AI is gonna work better in your favor. If you don't know any of that and you make slop, it's just gonna end up making more slop because like that's what it's doing at the
Yeah, my overall view is that when people talk about it doesn't create production code, it is it's it may be wrong. Like, if you're thinking about code from like an elite software house, the Googles, the Amazons, the Apples,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe it's not that level. Maybe it's not that level. But if you're thinking about like normal businesses,
Right, right, right.
their code
That's
is
a good
I
distinction.
their code is crap. Their code is crap.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
even kind of to some of
I
the
made
point of
most of my living off of going in and fixing that junk. You
yeah,
know?
I was gonna say even to the point like when some of the stuff that those same companies that you just mentioned build, like some of that shit's crap too when you use it. It starts problems. Like there's a
Yeah,
I was doing a project the other day with Google and I forgot what it was, but like I hate whenever I like am doing a package install or not even a package install, like usually when I'm deploying and it goes through the build and then I see like all the warnings. Why the fuck do I have like I hate having warnings. I don't care if they don't mean anything, don't interfere. Like I want a clean build 100% through. So I'm like I did
yeah,
some research like, bro, why the hell do I keep getting this goddamn warning? Like that made me literally do like an hour of research on my own and agents of going into like because
yeah,
obviously sometimes other dependencies are like based on other dependencies. And basically it was this long route that came to basically Google never updated this shit from 6 years ago. So you're gonna see this throughout all of their products. And it's just like one super thing. I'm like, bro, what the hell? Like, oh my God, that's crazy. So kind of to your point, like there is a level of like elite code, right? But just the perception of, I guess, like of how people are trying to grade or measure it isn't really how that works. Because also with that kind of that video I was watching, what did he say that really stuck out to me, or what did I a post I read? I think it was somebody talking about like speed isn't like the only important thing about you like building with code, if that makes sense. And that's really the metric that everybody's trying to use is like the
Yeah.
speed of development, which is a good metric. It's a crucial metric, but like it's more to that process.
Yeah, I mean, I did a full refactoring the other day of something I built in Lovable in the early days, and really before I realized how bad Lovable produces code. Like, you want bad code, go to Lovable and try to build something. The code is terrible.
And it's so
Um,
crazy because they only choose to use Vite, which is like
oh,
good, right? I
don't
think
even
it's
get yeah,
supposed
don't
to
even
be.
get me started there. I'm done with them. Like, I canceled everything with them after I went and looked at the code. But I was refactoring it, and I had built in a couple test loops that mandated to the CLAUDE.md. I said, do not commit anything without doing this last review. I called it, with fresh eyes, right? So to kind of get itself out of its own brain and be critical of itself. And I had to force it into the mode to do those last minute reviews, but then it would do the last minute review and it would find problems. And that's just slower discipline, but it kept fixing bugs before it would commit them. And that's good discipline. That's what you're supposed to do. You shouldn't be checking bugs into GitHub. You should be able to fix or find those bugs before you put them into GitHub. So you could do vibe coding and just check in lovable level slop, or you could just take a breath and do a little bit of code review.
And then
And
not
again,
even
you're not,
that, how
yeah,
much like it's gonna be definitely slower because you got like that just that pricing model of what that is.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I couldn't get over that. I got out of that fast, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I understand what they're doing, but I really do feel like with all that money, like you could really make something better. And
that's what it was.
this is coming from someone that is in their Discord community and like I've spent over 100 hours in there and I've really had no reason to besides the just talking to people. But I know all the community builders, like I know all that they were even out of time asking me stuff. And I'm like, bro, all they have to do is fucking add MCPs to this and make it easier and add register and do all like literally these same things I'm talking about, even though that's like isn't the end all be all, but if your whole goal is to make this as easy as possible, why aren't you using things that are already like literally built? Like it did not make any sense. And then I would get into like, it'd be so interesting because in that Discord server, like it was open, like people tried to like clown people for using other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you guys
Yeah.
are the type that's never gonna make it because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what you
Nope.
use. But if you're trying to sit, like I had somebody full-fledged argue with me that like they could build faster and lovable than using Claude Code. And I
No,
was like, bro, you
no,
are I don't know
no.
how much Level was paying you, but if you've never even used the CLI tool before, and this was before I was at this level, this was
Yeah.
maybe the second month I was using Claude Code, but I still had all of this knowledge of like using these component libraries and all this stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, you can't even put in a command to download stuff that Lovable could just use on its own entirely. So like how man, but yeah, and then people would come and like
Well, you can't do skills, you can't do plugins, you can't do um I mean you could connect to Supabase, but that was like the only
but that's like
online
their own
database that,
controlled, like so
yeah,
I'm very familiar with that is because actually I'm actually about to be a part of Supabase agency program, even though the Supabase for platforms, that's what that's called, is not tied
yeah,
to the agency. But I'm very familiar with what that is because I have a platform where I'm doing like the reverse of that. But I'm very familiar, and even that was a bad implementation. And as I found out, just like more of these things because I was vibe coding in other places, I was like, yeah, Lovable and VO, I can't do it anymore because it's they have too much money to have that bad of a product. But the thing is, like, I don't know, maybe it's if you're too technical. I think it's just if you really have experience, you know that that's a bad product in that frame, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
I guess I really mean
yeah.
like bad in terms of for the people who do use it and who it's meant for, it can even be way better. But they're just greedy, money hungry people. Like I even found out that and this is like a big distinction. I never really thought about this until I watched a lot of other um developer and like programmer videos, having something made by someone who's like an AI person opposed to a developer or engineer who's an AI person are two totally fucking different things, bro. They're two totally different things. And Lovable, the team that runs it, are like the people they hire are, this is no exaggeration, are like, and they maybe they changed it, are kids who are just like vibe coding, like
Yeah.
literally. And once I found that out, and these are like from people who are Lovable ambassadors who are sitting down at the Lovable meeting where they can see the team. I was like, oh yeah, nah, I can't tell nobody to use this anymore because I'd be doing myself an injustice. They're gonna be coming back to
Yep.
me asking me all this stuff and doing all this wasting time. And yeah,
Yep.
nah, I can't do it.
Yeah. I think they have about 20. Well, then maybe they got $40 out of me before I was like, nope. Nope. I can't, buddies. Um, and
Yeah.
that's when I started giving $100 to Claude. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get everything I need.
Yeah, I gave my first $60 to Cursor and I wasn't looking back. I was like, they're complaining, they're saying what? Like, because obviously, like, and I'm not that type of, I'm really obviously, as you guys maybe can tell, I'm a hands-on person. So I take others' opinions very lightly depending on like the situation. But usually that means would have had to use it first, or I need to determine what level this person is at that's giving me this diagnosis of this platform. So like for me personally, because first off, I look at platform differently. Um, in terms of like, I'm never dedicated to a platform. I'm platform agnostic, but I can recognize what platforms are better at this than that and other things around that, which might lead me to using this platform more than the other. But if other certain situations arise, like maybe because of a client or other things, I will use another platform, right? Whereas some people, that's just not kind of like the perspective they have. They're like, you can get so tied into something that like, I guess maybe a good analogy to make is like go high level. Like go high level, people think that like they have something special, but it's like they're just using a group of other companies and just put it all together. And but that's the thing you were
I
complaining
never
about.
understood why the hype for
But
a while was on Go High
but
Level. I
like
just
that's the
didn't.
thing you're
I missed
complaining
it.
about, like using other different platforms. Like you were complaining that you were using multiple platforms stitched together instead of just
Yeah.
automating it. And then you went to another platform that they just stitch everything together and automate it for you, which is like, I
Yeah.
don't, and not to say that's a bad thing, but just like not understanding that, right, is
Yep.
I think very detrimental because these are still the same people who are like, all of a sudden automations are new to them and stuff. And it's like, they're the same platform you were using, you could have automated it. You just like, and granted, like I understand there's a certain type of demographic for everything, but I do think like just if you're the type of person that can look into that dynamic or that culture, um, it helps you. And obviously, like it's easier for developers because our perspective is like my perspective is if I'm using this, do I have to be inside of the platform to use it? Which means do they have a good API or do they have API? Because that's really
Yep.
determining whether I use you or not. And then I
Right.
also understood that like some platforms, like VAPI is a good example. Like VAPI, I could never use the dashboard because one, the dashboard never worked, sadly, and two, they don't because they're so robust, they can't offer all of the features in the dashboard. You have to use the API, right? So like I look at things very weird like that, which determine like how I'm going to use things or the benefit of the platform or and all those other things in between. But going back to like the whole point and rant of the lovable thing and all that other stuff, like yeah, it's so I was already doing things very fast. Now with AI and these protocols and these registries and knowing how to use these components and other things, like I don't want to say the sky is the limit, but it's damn sure there. Right? I feel I can grab it and hold it actually physically. Don't know if that's a good description. This is finishing
Dude,
up
it's going through the whole thing.
period. Yeah.
Damn. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
As soon as Well, as soon as it ends and we can see it, I'm probably gonna have to drop because
Yeah, no problem. That's why I wanted to hurry up and get, like I said, I wanted to get to that last part real quick. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna be basically doing this again, like in a full one. I might actually do like a 2 hour session doing it from there. And then I'm gonna, one of the other big things I want to teach about is like how to build and automatically have that white labeled, or if you want to sell different versions of
yeah,
this, like, so I can make this for myself and then say like, oh, if you want your own version because you're going to change it, like still deploy it to you, but you can
yeah,
still get like updates from my code base and different things like that.
right.
That's really how I'm going to be deploying and building a lot of the things I do now, especially tie like to the community when I have it. I'm waiting to hopefully the end of this month I'll have that finished and then I'll open my community and then I don't really want to go through like the whole template thing. And I mean, I didn't mind it with like automation platforms, but with code, I'm
No,
not doing none of that.
no,
Hey, I built this. You can use my white labeled version and sell it and do whatever, or you can
yep,
deploy it to yourself in vibe code and have fun with it and just come grab it from this platform I made. But I'm not trying to, unless you're trying to
yeah, no,
literally pay me to maintain that. No.
nope, no, I get you.
So first, really quick, let me come back to this page because what should have happened is this should work. I think it probably was already working or doing something. And what file is this? Oh, this is the thing that I downloaded from DigitalOcean earlier. So let's put this in here. And hopefully by the grace of God, was that a was that meaning that it read it or I don't it just disappeared.
Said it was gonna build a UI, man. What is?
Well, this UI is already right here. It was already built. It was just adding things into it was like changing the
Yeah,
system prompt and adding that. And I think like adding when like tool calls or however that I'm asking in a minute, but I believe that's everything that it was doing. And it's gonna tell me right now.
there we go.
So first start this and do this. I already have that. So I'm trying to think real quick. The URL is not gonna work because it can't pull things from the URL. Can't I just, you know what, give me really quick, Ivan, because I might have fried myself here with thinking about how this is actually going to do that with the file. So let me do it backwards. When I insert a file, what's going to happen? Is it automatically going to get the metadata or what's the process? And also you should be able to start that in the other folder because all of those variables and everything should be set already. So the only thing I'm not sure of, and I'm going to be a little nerdy here and inspect this page and just go to the console to see. And nothing's happening because usually you got to press enter when you put this right here. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep, oh, well. So upload a paperclip, attach a file. It appears as a preview. Send a message. Hmm. You know what, Adam? I'm actually stopping right here because I know that in the next 5 or 10 minutes I won't be able to do this. And I'm gonna brainstorm why kind of really quick. This this has a separate storage from the toolkit.
Mm.
And it's not that that's bad or conflicting. Wouldn't probably I don't think that'd be like and I'm really thinking like as a do a process through here because I'm gonna have to run
Yeah.
it again when I want to fix it, right? Like first how we should probably do this is like have the toolkit running, right? And then have first off is connecting like the AI SDK or whatever agent or whatever is there to the database, kind of in a way. Because really,
Hmm.
so this is yep, going back to this is why this would be in Supabase. I'm pretty sure the same thing can happen in DigitalOcean. I just think Supabase is easier because you can
Easier.
add
Yeah.
tables to put more information there, right? Going a little bit deeper because when I could trick this and say, hey, when I upload a file here, just upload it to the database and tie it to this conversation. And even though that's kind of bad because usually you have a person tied there, I'm just thinking right now in testing, right? So, hey, when I upload this here, this actually is going to upload to Supabase. And let's just say I'm an anonymous user because that's how it technically be treated. But you know that this file is tied to this conversation. So when this file is uploaded in the Supabase, right? Then those APIs can happen and it's already going to happen. It's going to know what type of file it is. It's going to know the metadata. It's going to know all that stuff, right? Where it can already start dictating that conversation. And then maybe what I have extra in the background is I use the Google Gemini API that I actually feed the video into, which will give me a description or something. Not to say you couldn't use not to talk about two separate things, not to say you can't use the toolkit for that. Um, but the reason I'm saying that is because, like, let's say you want to use a YouTube, and I'm being very specific. Oh, well, no, that wouldn't matter because it would still transcribe it. It would just be the length of how long that was. So no, 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 no. We can forget that other part. But you following me on kind of like how what I'm thinking about it and how I'm going about it?
Yeah. We were just, yeah. I mean, it's you switching your mode from can it find it and figure it out to, well, yes, it can, but now it can't function because I don't have a place for the data and I don't have a place for it to refer to. And
Exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so it did its part of the work, but nothing will, you can't test it because nothing's connected and
Yeah,
it's just gonna
technically,
flop.
yeah. And then we'll go
Yeah.
through a little bit more. Yeah. And going back to our original thing, because going back to thinking about it might not fully make sense right now, especially if people are watching, but like if you're doing a personal project, what I'm kind of saying right now doesn't matter. If you're building a project where there's going to be other people, this matters because right now, the toolkit that's being used, I mean, even if it's locally, only is tied to like it's just information about the files. It doesn't know who uploaded that file or did anything. So in terms of if we want to make an application with a chat interface, somebody's going to be using this, whether it's what's called an anonymous person or an actual user, where they're going to have
Hmm.
an ID. So all of that information needs to be tied to them. And the more information you can tie to them and do in the background, it's easier for the AI to do whatever it is to get to that end result of what we want.
Yeah. 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 Cool. All
All
right.
right,
So now
guys.
we've got a really cool idea to go.
Yeah, I'm next for the so I think tomorrow. I really don't expect anybody to show up tomorrow. Tomorrow's about HeyGen, but if you guys do, that's super cool. But after tonight, I'm gonna do the rest of the days, and I'm gonna think more about going in depth on this because I do want to do like a whole day on Supabase, like running
Yeah,
it locally and stuff and doing that. So I'm
that's
probably gonna
cool.
add that. I'm probably gonna add convex. I'm probably because next week I'm probably gonna do because I think next week starts voice AI. So I've been just been
Yeah.
thinking about is that whole week going to be voice AI or do I want to do like voice AI database, another voice AI company database? Because there's like two databases I'm going to talk about and at least two voice AI platforms. I'm going to talk about VAPI and LiveKit. Um, and then maybe that last day do all of this again. Because what I'm trying to do with some of the days, especially if I messed up the order, is like they all kind of still tie into each other, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like other
One
things
thread.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Um,
right. Guys, it was a
yeah,
pleasure.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was a pleasure seeing you guys. You guys enjoy your Saturday. Thank you for spending your time with me. I know it could have been spent better elsewhere. Jamu and Philip, you guys don't have any questions or anything before you go? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Philip, everything good with you as well? Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna talk about VAPI first, and I might have the new VAPI ambassador on the call as well, doing some stuff. So all right, guys. It was a pleasure. Yeah, of course, I will be here tomorrow. I'll be talking about HeyGen and some stuff. If I get lucky, I might have some people from the HeyGen team or work for HeyGen there and talking about some stuff. I can't guarantee anything. But yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later.
All right, man. Thanks.
No problem. Oh, did I put the YouTube in here, right? So okay, yeah, you guys have
Yeah, I got it. I grabbed it.
Philip and Jamu. Yeah, so in about an hour or so, I will have this uploaded on there, and you guys can go watch it back.
All right.
Got you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.